Okay, today we're going to talk about slope-intercept form of a line, and also we're going to talk about how to tell whether or not two lines are parallel or perpendicular using slope-intercept form. Okay, so I think a lot of you already know what slope-intercept form is. So does anybody know what it is? Raise your hand. Yeah. That's right. Y equals mx plus b. Oh, I haven't. By the way, you're right. It's y equals mx plus b. They call it slope-intercept form. Which intercept are they talking about, by the way, when they say? Yeah, the y-intercept. So they should really call it slope y-intercept form, because there's another intercept, right? You could have another intercept of a line. What else could you have? You could have x-intercept, right? So if you just say slope-intercept form, what if the person thinks it's x-intercept? Right? So it's really, to be more precise, it's really slope y-intercept form. Okay? And you guys are correct. It is y equals mx plus b. And what does the m tell you if you have it in this form? M is the, raise your hand. Yes? Slope. B is the, yes? Y-intercept. That's why it's called the slope y-intercept form. It gives you two really important information. What are these two information that you get just by writing in this form? Yeah. Yes. Exactly right. It gives you the slope, and it gives you the point where the line crosses the y-axis, right? Without really doing much work. All you have to do is you have to make sure that the line is in this form, y equals to mx plus b. So the coefficient of the x is the slope, right? You did this last year also. And that last plus whatever number you get, that's the y-intercept. Easy enough? Okay. All right. So then, that's what I have right here. Okay. So m is slope and y-intercept is b. Okay. So go ahead and write it down if you haven't done it already. Give you time. By the way, does anybody know why we use letter B for y-intercept? Why don't they use letter A? Because don't you usually start off with A, B, C like this, you know, in alphabetical order? Anybody know why we use B for the y-intercept? Yeah. That's right. A, we use it for the x-intercept. That's why, you know, like alphabetical order, X, Y, A, B, you know? That's exactly right. So some people ask me, why do they use B? It's because B is the y-intercept, A is the x-intercept, right? A comes before B, doesn't it? Just like X comes before Y. Yeah?
Aren't you supposed to put in alphabetical order, so wouldn't it be B plus MX?
Right, so, alright, you want to write Y equals B plus MX? Traditionally, we do it this way. So if you wanted to, but we write the one with the term with X first and then the number. Yeah, so that's the form. Okay. So here is one of the easiest questions you'll ever get in this class. Is this? It says find the slope and the y-intercept of y equals to negative 2x plus 1 over 2. Go ahead, everybody try. Tell me the. Yeah, this is one of the easiest one you will get. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. How about, let me call somebody random. How about Alvin? What's my slope in this? Negative 2 is correct. How about William? What's the y-intercept? 1 over 2 is correct. Very good. So did y'all get this? Is this easy? Right? So when I ask for y-intercept, do you say 1 over 2 or do you actually give me the ordered pair? Did you just say 1 over 2? Okay. What's the actual order pair then? Anybody know? Raise your hand. One person? Two? In other words, if somebody asks you, okay, the y-intercept is 1 over 2, but what is the actual order pair? How would you plot this on a coordinate plane? Yes? 2, 1? That's negative. That's the slope. Negative 2 over 1. I'm talking about the y-intercept. Raise your hand. One person? What is the actual order pair? I don't know if you ever thought about it this way. Yeah, it's the point where it crosses the y-axis, right? Let me give you a hint. Watch this. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, some of you already know. Okay, that's fine. But, guys, what do you notice about every point on the y-axis? Something is kind of interesting. What is always 0? X coordinate is always 0. So somebody give me the order pair for this y-intercept. Okay, think about this as a group. I think a lot of you don't. Okay, think about it. I'll give you time. It's not that hard. Okay. What is it, class? It is y. is it 0, 1 half?
Because
Okay. Well, who thinks they could explain? All right, go ahead, Victor. Let's listen now. Go ahead.
it's because the y-intercept is where it's where the line crosses the y-axis.
Yes.
So then, if you're on the y-axis, then your x is going to be 0.
That's correct. Also, could we do a simple table?
What?
Could we make a little simple table? Well, you don't have to, but we know, just like you guys said, if every point on the y-axis, right, have x equals to 0, then if I were to plug in x equals to 0 here, don't you get the other value for y? Just like when we do the table. Look, when I plug in x equals 0, what happens to this term? It always turns into 0. That's why that last number is the y-intercept, because whenever you plug in x equals 0, if you have it in slope-intercept form, right, it's always going to be 0 comma that number, because it's going, anything times 0 is 0. Do you see? Does that make sense? So you could think of it that way. That's why this form gives you the y-intercept really easily, because if you plug in x equals 0, you get the y-intercept. And as we saw, every point on the y-axis, x coordinate is 0. Does that make sense? How many people knew this already? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because the y-intercept has to have x coordinate equals 0, this form tells you the y-intercept really, nicely, because -2 times 0 is always going to be 0. Okay. So that's what we get as the y-intercept. Any question? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay. You sure? Okay. Let's then move on to then how would you graph example 1? If they ask you to graph example 1, which was y equals to -2x plus 1 over 2. We found that the slope was -2. The y-intercept was 1 over 2. Do you think we should make a table again? No, because we know that we know two important information: the slope and the y-intercept. How do we graph this here? Okay. Go ahead, everybody try. I'll give you time. So we know the two information, slope and the y-intercept. By the way, what should I use first to graph this line? Can I use the slope first? Why not? You don't know your starting point, exactly. How many lines are there that has slope of -2, guys? Too many. You don't know where to start. So Victor, what should I do? Yeah, I should plot the y-intercept. Where's my y-intercept? Viviana? Under the 1? Well, it says the y-intercept is half. So where do I go? Yeah, between 0 and 1. On which axis? Yeah, y-axis. That's why it's called y-intercept, right? So there's my starting point. You always graph your y-intercept first, okay? Then from here, I need to find another point. How do I do this? Yeah. Oh, did I do this right? Oops. You're correct. It should be between 0 and 1. Sorry, you're right. Then, okay, what's my slope? Thank you. Slope is -2 over really what? 1. So, what does that mean? It's rise over run. So therefore, from 1 over 2, I should do what? Raise your hand. Yes, Aaron? Yeah, Aaron.
You can go up to left one,
Oh, right. I could go up to left one or
or you can go
down to and right one. Yeah, if I'm following -2 over -1, don't I go down 2 because -2 means go down and to the right one? But what does -2 over 1 mean really? 2 over also -1. So could I go up 2 and left 1? And as you can see, whenever I do this, all these points should be collinear. Okay, so let's connect them. And when I do, okay, I get this now. Is this easy? Does that make sense? Do you think you could do one if I give you an equation in slope-intercept form? Go ahead. Try it and this one example by yourself. Try this yourself. Y equals 2, x minus 3. Okay. All right, so what should I do first here in this problem? One person? No, okay, 2. Audrey, what do I do? That's right, I need to graph the y-intercept first. That's your step 1. So what's my y-intercept, Audrey? B is equal to? Negative 3. Is it 3 or negative 3, guys? It's negative 3 because it's y equals mx plus b, right? So this is really plus negative 3. What's your slope, class? I don't have any slope, right?
Yeah, you do.
I do? What is it? What is it? You see it? 1. So 1 is really 1 over 1, correct? Is that okay? So you're right, Audrey. I start at the y-intercept at negative 3. This time, hopefully, I won't make mistake. Here's negative 3. Right. Okay. Then what do I do next? Sarah, A. Since my slope is 1, what do I do? Yeah, I go up 1 from where the y-intercept was, up 1 to the right 1. Or if I wanted to, isn't that same as negative 1 over negative 1 over negative 1? So could I go down 1 to the left 1 too? Yeah, they're still collinear. So guess what? I just connect them. Okay. Any question? Haven't forgot this graph. Easy? Very good. Now, I have a question. What if they give you the equation in standard form like this? Ax plus by equals to c. Okay? What do we, so for example, if I have 4x minus 3y equals negative 9, what do you need to do first to graph this equation? Aaron? Solve for y. And you turn it into which form? Slope-intercept form. Every time you have a standard form, you could always transform it into a slope-intercept form. So William, tell me what to do.
Subtract ax from both sides and I can't see it.
I'm sorry. Subtract. I got 4x plus 3y equals negative 9.
And then divide by 3y.
Right. 3y or 3?
3.
3. So yes, I subtract 4x from both sides and then divide by 3. And then my slope is what? Yes? Negative 4 over 3, which is right there. And my y-intercept is negative 3. Would you not agree? Okay. So do you think you should divide this 3 into each other's term when you divide the whole thing by 3? Okay. Yes? Go ahead and try this one then. Go ahead and graph x plus 2y equals to 6 on a graphing paper. Go ahead, everybody try. Give you time. All right. What should I do first to graph this in slope-intercept form here? Yes, one person, 2. Viviana, tell me what to do. Subtract. X from both sides is correct. And I get, let's try to hide the answer. I get 2y equals to negative x plus 6. Divide both sides by, of course, 2. Paul, what do I get?
Y equals -2x plus 3.
Correct. And so, Austin, what's the slope of this line? Yes. What's the y-intercept then? How about Gianni? 3. Good. So, by the way, if slope is negative 1 over 2, isn't that same as 1 over negative 2 or negative 1 over positive 2? Is this same as negative 1 over negative 2? No. What's negative over negative? Positive. Okay. So where do we start graphing this? Where should we start? Ethan?
First you
Plot the y-intercept, which is at 3, correct? So did you all get this graph? I start at 3. I could either go down 1 to the right 2 if I'm following negative 1 over positive 2, or I could go up 1 to the left 2 if I'm doing positive 1 over negative 2. Haven't forgot this graph? Raise your hand. Let me see. Okay. Good. Easy? It's pretty straightforward. Okay, good. All right. Good. So what do you guys know? Does anybody know if two lines are parallel, they have same something and different something else? This is fact 1 about two lines that are parallel. Oh, 2 people already know. Okay. First of all, what's it mean when the two lines are parallel? Victor?
basically means they're like straight lines and they never connect.
They never intersect is correct. Okay. So if the two lines never intersect, guess what? What do you think about their they have to have same something. Jimin? Same slope is correct. But they have to have different what? What goes in there? What? Y-intercept is correct. So let me write this. Oops. If the two lines are parallel, they have to have the same slope. Write this down. This is a fact 1. And they have to have a different y-intercept. What about x-intercept?
Wait, no.
Yeah, x-intercept doesn't matter. They have to have a different y. Does anybody know why, first of all? Oh, Gemma, do you have a question? Oh, okay. Why do you think why can't we just say if two lines are parallel, it kind of makes sense, right? They have to have the same slope, meaning they have to have the same steepness, right? If they don't have the same steepness, they're going to intersect at one point. So it makes sense that they have to have the same slope. But why do they have to have a different y-intercept? Anybody know why? Kaylee?
Okay, I don't know 100%.
Yeah, try it.
But I think it's because if they did have the same y-intercept and same slope, they'd be pretty much the same line.
Yeah, they'll be the same line. You're exactly right. So you'll be describing the same line. Does that make sense? So you're right. We don't want them to have the same slope and same y-intercept. Does that make sense? So, oh, there's one exception. Let's see who could think of this. There's one exception. It doesn't work this way. There's one case where they will not have the same slope. Well, I guess you could kind of say same, but they're not really the same slope. You can't really say same slope. Anybody? Oh, William.
When the slope is undefined,
Yes, right. Meaning, Jamin, what is he talking about? That's right. If two lines are vertical. One exception is if two vertical lines. Right? When I say if two vertical lines, meaning two different vertical lines, right? Why not? Don't they have same slope? Kind of. Well, what's the slope of a vertical line?
Undefined.
M is undefined, right? So you can't really say they're same. Right? I guess you know, but that's one exception. Does that make sense? I guess you could say. Because how do you say that two undefined numbers are same? Because you can't even define the numbers. But you know what I mean. Remember? Okay. Does that make sense? If the two lines are vertical, by the way, they have to have the same. No, they cannot have same. X-intercept is correct. Why? If the two lines are vertical, of course, they will be parallel if they don't have the same x-intercept. Yeah, why not? Then they'll be the same line again. They'll be on top of each other, exactly. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, what about, does anybody know what perpendicular lines are? What are perpendicular lines? If two lines are perpendicular, what do they mean by this? Austin? Not quite. Have you heard of perpendicular lines before? Yeah? Okay, do you know what perpendicular lines are? Stefan?
When they intersect, the lines are like at 90 degrees.
That's correct. When the two lines intersect, not only do they just intersect, but they have to intersect in a way that it makes
A right angle.
right angle. 90 degrees. So does anybody know what goes in there? And there's an exception for this one too. So if two lines are perpendicular, then product of their slope is something, except for something and something lines. Okay, so let's look at the first blank space there. What do you think goes in there? One person, two, three. Gemma? Okay, how many people agree? How many people say one? Raise your hand. Okay, oh. It's not one, actually.
-1.
It's -1, you're right. It's not 1, but -1.
I was right the first
Okay, yeah, you're right the first time. So it turns out, if two lines are perpendicular, right, they had a bunch of perpendicular lines, they multiply two lines, the slope of the two lines is always equal to -1. Except, there's an exception. Anybody? It's kind of like the first exception. Except, yes?
Vertical and horizontal.
Yeah, if the lines, if it's a vertical line and horizontal. So if the two lines are vertical and horizontal, yeah, you're exactly. What's the slope of a vertical line? Undefined. What's the slope of a horizontal line? 0. Well, you can't really multiply undefined number times 0, right? And it will never be -1. But what do you know about vertical and horizontal line? They're always what? Vertical line and horizontal line, they're always what? Perpendicular, right? So nevertheless, even though their slope the product of their slope is not negative 1, they're still perpendicular. So there's one exception for this fact. Does that make sense? Are you following along? All right. So then what if I ask you this question? If the two lines are perpendicular, do you see what this symbol means, upside down T? Who knows what this upside down T means? Yeah, flat. It means what? Perpendicular, you're exactly right. It's kind of like 90 degrees right here, right? So if two lines are perpendicular, yeah, and the line 1, I'm going to write m sub 1. That's indicating that it's from one other line. What must the slope of the other line have to be in order for them to be perpendicular? Anybody?
Wait, is it multiplication or addition? Like to get -4?
Well, it says product. What does that mean when they say product? Is it multiplication or addition? It's multiplication. So, who thinks they know the slope of the other line if one of the line is 2/3 if they're perpendicular? Allie? Negative 1/3? Almost. Negative. So what can you multiply 2/3 so that you get negative 1? Well, okay, here's an easier way to think about it. What do you need? What can you multiply 2/3 by so that it becomes 1? Yeah, but then don't we want it to be negative 1? So guess what? Right. So guess what? You need exactly. So let's see, negative 3/2. Right, guys? Does that make sense? Right. We know what number makes two numbers when you multiply equal to 1. It's reciprocal of it. So we want the opposite of it. Okay. What about if the line is negative 3? Has a slope of negative 3? What must the slope of the other line has to be? Aaron? 1/3 is correct. Would you not get negative 1 when you multiply them together? So, what's another way of describing these two numbers, these two slopes? Are they reciprocal of each other? No? Victor? They're the negative or the opposite reciprocal. So sometimes I think you may have heard it referring to, right? If two lines are perpendicular, their slopes are opposite reciprocal. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, Eddie, what if my slope is A? What must then the slope of the other line have to be? Huh?
1 over A.
If it's A, no, not 1 over A.
1 over A.
Hmm?
I said
If
1 over A.
Oh, you said negative 1 over A? Sorry, I didn't hear. You're right. It is negative 1 over A. Does that make sense? It's the opposite reciprocal of that slope. Okay, write this down. I'll give you some time. I see a lot of people writing, so let me wait. Okay. So on your homework tonight, it's going to say something like this. Show that the two lines whose equations are 2x minus y equals 0 and 2x minus y equals 4 are parallel. How would you do this? One person think they know? How do you show that the two lines are parallel? Sarah, what do you think? How many things do you need to show, by the way, you think? Right, good. First, you probably want to solve for y and get the slope of both of the lines. Then what? How do you show that two lines are parallel? Good. See if their slopes are same. Is that all? No. There's one more thing you gotta check. Victor? Check if their y-intercepts are different. Go ahead. See if you can do that. That's exactly right. You need to show two things. You have to show that they have the same slope, and not only that, they have a different y-intercept. Okay, go ahead, everybody. So, did you all change into slope-intercept form? Here's what I did. Did you all get the slope for the first line as 2 and y-intercept as what? If there's no number, guess what your y-intercept is? 0. Okay. The second line, line 2, that's why I have right line 2 there. Y equals to 2x plus negative 4, right? So did you all get Did you all get slope as 2 for the first one? B sub 1. Do you see why I did m sub 1, b sub 1? What does that tell you? That's saying that it's from the first line. What about m sub 2, b sub 2? That's telling you it's from the Second line. And as you can see, do they have the same slope? Do they have different y-intercept? That's what you've shown. So that's all you need to write. Now you can say two lines are parallel since they have same slope, which is 2, and same slope 2, and different y-intercept. Okay. Any question? We good? Guess what my next question is? Show that two lines are perpendicular. That's right. How many things do you need to show that two lines are perpendicular? This time just one. What is that one thing, William?
Multiply the slope of the two equations.
Exactly. Just multiply the two slope and you should get what? -1 if they are perpendicular. Go ahead, everybody try this one. So the two equations are y equals to 3 over 4x minus 1 and 6y plus 8x equals to 7. Ethan, what should I do?
So first you find the slopes.
Yeah, I find the slope. Okay, so first equation, Austin, do I need to do anything to find the slope? Why not? Yeah, it's already in slope-intercept form. You're right. So, but what about for the second equation? So for line 1, we know slope is -3 over 4. Do you even worry about the y-intercept for the first equation? Do you even need to know what it is? No, we don't need. Okay, Chris, what do I do for line 2 then? Subtract 8x from both sides, then divide by 6. Exactly right. Oops, sorry, still frozen. So when you do this, you get slope goes to the second line, -4 over 3, right? And we don't even really need to worry about the y-intercept at this point. Okay, they could have the same y-intercept or different, doesn't matter. Are they perpendicular, Eddie?
Yeah.
Why?
Because their slopes, like when you multiply them, they're equal.
That's right. There you go. So there you go. The two lines are perpendicular since the product of their slope is -1. Easy? Okay, good? Alright. Good. By the way, since we're done with these, since we have some time, I've always wanted to do this, but didn't really get a chance. So give me a sec. So this is the kind of thing I wanted to show you. It's a program that I really like. It's called Wimplot. If you have PC, you could actually do this yourself. So let me show you what we just did today. So I'm going to put an equation. So, let's say x plus 2. Okay, what do you think I will get if I graph? By the way, f of x is same as y. You guys know that? That's function notation. So let me make it thick enough. So when I graph f of x equals to x plus 2, what do you expect to get? You get a what? This is the same as y equals to x plus 2. What do you expect to get when I graph it? Line. There you go. Okay. Let's graph another line that is parallel to this. Can somebody give me a line?
Wait, what was the equation for that one?
This was equation y equals x plus 2. Okay, somebody give me an okay, how about equation? Yes, Audrey? X plus 1, sure. Let's do that. Do you think they'll be parallel?
Yes.
Because why? They have the same slope. There you go.
Wow.
What's nice thing about this is, watch this. I'm going to edit this. Instead of having slope equals to 1, I'm just going to actually put down m for slope. Oh, I get a horizontal line. That's interesting. And then edit. I'm going to put, instead of 1, I'm going to put m here. They have the same slope, don't they? They both have slope of m. And you know what I could do with this is, I could go to, let's see, animation, individual. I'm going to grab that letter m. Right now, what's the m set as? 0. That's why. Does it make sense why it's a horizontal line, both of them? Because if the slope is 0, then your horizontal line is, you get a horizontal line, right? Look what happens if I were to change m to, I don't know, 2. What do you think is going to happen? They will both have the same slope of 2. And since they have the same slope, guess what? They're still parallel. And I could actually move this around. And notice, because I have the same slope for both of these, they always remain parallel. Now, can somebody then help me? Let me make it more interesting. Okay. Can somebody help me? Let's change the line to edit. instead of m, what do I need to put in there so that they're always perpendicular?
Oh,
Negative,
negative reciprocal.
which means negative 1 over m. Isn't that right, guys? So what do you think would happen if I were to change the second line into negative 1 over m? Does that look perpendicular? Look what happens as I change the value of m. They would always remain. They will always remain what? Perpendicular. Does that make sense? Okay. As you can see, it jumps right there when it's. See, like if I do one of them horizontal, the other line goes away because slope for the vertical line is undefined. So anyway, so I can actually make it automatic. Click this, and then it'll just kind of go. And then quit. If I do this, it goes back and forth. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Okay. Oh, can I show you another one that I did? Okay. I'll show you another one. Do you guys remember? Hold on. Let me open this. What I told you about slope. Whenever we have a slope, right? Here's my line right here. What the slope of, if I were to pick any 2 points, right? What do you know about the slope of this line? It's always, what guys? It's always, it's the same, constant, right? So, let me make this. If I were to move this 2 points around, look at the ratio of the right side over 1. It's always constant, right? Even if I change the slope, yeah, look at what happens to the, do you see how their slope is always constant? The right over 1 remains the same. Does that make sense?
I found this under my desk. I think it's someone's project or something.
Okay. Does that make sense?